Hi, my name is Kevin Thomas, W1DED, and this is Q5 Ham Radio. I'm back with Contest Crew Europe to talk about the CQ WPX single sideband contest. All of these guys had a great weekend, a lot of great results. Filipe, I think I'll start with you. I think you were number one Europe.
So the original plan was not to do single up, was to do multi two. But at the end of the week, by the middle of the weeks, most of the guys could not operate. So, and Jose could not operate either. So I decided to, as I had already had the plans to do it. So either multi two or whatever. So I ended up doing single up. Uh, what can I tell you about it?
What about propagation?
Propagation was good the first 1.5 day, and then on Sunday was miserable. So honestly, I think the record was not broken because of Sunday, because I worked 0 USA on 10 meter.
Even from Portugal.
Yeah, on Saturday I worked in North America until 10 o'clock in the evening on 10 meters. Was amazing. Not even when we beat the record with Braco 2024, I didn't see the propagation like this. And on Sunday, complete opposite. You get disappointed because you get to a point when you say, "What the hell is going on?" And I could hear the North America, but with the antennas pointing to South America, so they were claiming with a path, with Q path. So when I noticed it, I said, "No, it's not possible." So it's gonna stay for at least one more year there, so we will see. But it was fun. It was fun. The first few hours were quite fun. Of course, the main issue, and as everybody was talking about earlier, 40 meter is very hard. It's a very, very hard band. We only have 75 kilohertz to battle with the all guys in Europe. So to get the free spot. So it's not easy, and you get to a point that either you go to 80 meter or you keep the band and you fight with the other guys that are coming on top of you, and that's it. But it was quite fun. It was fun, and the live score keeps you motivated to do more and more and more. And I was kind of motivated because in the morning I think it was number one or number two world. So it was kind of it motivated me. But of course, when you start to stop with the hours, the obligatory hours to stop, so you get to a point where you say, okay, Caribbean, they are always favorable to win. So it was fun. It was fun.
In Braco, number two Europe, and in the top 10 world. How'd it go?
Yeah, it was awful. I realized that there's going to be a battle with WX, so I arrived a couple of days before to the station, and on Thursday we had snow, rain, ice, everything together. All antenna was frozen. Once again Friday on Saturday, so most of the antenna were not really usable. Some yes, some no. And again, everything melted up then on Sunday during the day, but on Sunday, once again snow, ice, and so on. So I was fighting the WX most of the time, and very high noise levels. Actually, I was almost to give up. But I stay in the contest because people would say, the Filipe was in the front of you so far away, and you gave up because of that. And that's amazing.
You know what? I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. No, but I operate more hours on. I had I don't know, I think 10 hours of break on Saturday, and so most of the time I operated on Sunday on the let's say bad conditions, let's say like that, and yeah, it was not so bad. It's I don't know. It's I think my 5 best score in WPX, something like that. So it's not I would not say the bad one, but it could be definitely better. There was some technical issues as well on Saturday. But anyway, it was somehow fun. I was on the end of the contest. I was like going forward and back with AA3B, and that was like I was glued actually to online scores, and I was watching all the time what's going on. So who is overtaking who, and that was quite a bit of fun to see the scores in Caribbean and so on. I was expecting that LU5DX gonna be more in the front, but somehow I don't know what's happened. I unfortunately I was a little bit busy and I didn't look into all reports and all write-ups. So probably there were some issues, but anyway, another WPX SSB in the books, so that's fine.
And Kris, you had a big multi effort. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm gonna shout out to all the youngsters that we had, and hopefully some of them are also watching the Q5 videos, especially the Contest Crew Europe. I have to go back to October last year. The work we did back then actually paid off, and we had half of the youngsters, the same operators we had in October, and you could see the difference already. The experience they got half a year ago, the way they operated, and shout out to this Latvian young kid, Yankee Lima 3 Radio Zulu. Still as a high school student, he actually taught us how to do the perfect salesman, or how to do a perfect salesman job. So he was QSY'ing. He was literally trying to QSY everyone everywhere on Sunday, especially when the rates were low. And the approach he was probably, I don't know if terrorizing is the correct word, but he was terrorizing everyone to QSY. The guys with wire antennas down to 160, and it was amazing to see such a young kid work and operate like this. But no, overall, like Braco already said, and Filipe too, up here the propagation was like compared to last year, it was completely different propagation. 10 meters never really opened up. We did some statistics this year. We had I think we had twice or even more than double the amount less US stations. The same goes to JAs. We had about 60% less JAs than the previous years. What we had was a lot of European stations, and the key to stay on top was to try to QSY as many as possible. And it was a nice race between. Well, on Saturday it was Delta Radio 1 Alpha and Dave's crew 9873. What was it? 9873 Papa, I think. Yeah. We were ahead during the daytime. We could produce more QSOs, but when the upper bands closed, then it's we were just watching on live score how the Southern European stations just came closer and eventually went past us. But in the end, I think we did good. Station worked more or less fine. No major issues whatsoever. Just no decent propagation, and the gap between ES9 Charlie and Dave was what I think it was less than 500,000. So it's less than 1%. So we'll see what the UBN shows us, but I truly hope that we will still get this European victory.
Yeah, I'm looking at the raw scores now. ES9C 40,903,000 and 9A73 Papa 40,558,000. So neck to neck here. Dave, how did it go there?
It started quite frustrating because we had 20 meters closed, and the guys at ES9C were running 200 QSO on the first hour. So we said, okay, it's another contest which ES9C is gonna dominate. But then, unfortunately for them, even for us, because we were also killed by the propagation, it ended up it was just the first few hours for them, and we had like 30-40 QSO per hour during the night on 20 with mostly Europeans so Ben was close to US. 40 was a struggle because it's we were like 3 or 4 stations on the same frequency trying to run all the time, and until about 04 Zulu, then it cleaned up a bit when the upper bands started to work, and then we had quite good runs with the US, and we caught up pretty good there. JA on 10 was nothing on Saturday. No, not a single JA worked. Just one Bravo Yankee, I think, and others were just Yankee Bravo and southern hemisphere stations. In the afternoon, 10 meters showed some activity, but it was really short, just 13 and 12-13 Zulu, and after that it was very bad with only skew path and mostly Southern American stations in the band. 15 was quite okay, but no real good runs, and it closed early, and it was not deep enough to get the good hours. So at the end, quite an average, let's say, contest. It could be much better with just a little bit better propagation. We were hoping to climb at least to come too close to the multi creation record, but it was not possible because we still need the 10 million, and without 10 meters and without 20 meters in the night, it's pretty impossible to do it. The second night was good on 40. I got a good frequency and got 3 or 4 hours of running clean weak US stations. And then in the morning we were quite ahead of both of ES9C and DR1A. But then there was no European pile up on the upper bands, and ES9C just killed us until the evening. And then it was really, we needed just maybe another half hour of contest to catch them. But unfortunately the contest ends at 0-0 Zulu, and it was really, we were catching up quite fast, but not enough to overtake. So let's see. At the end, it's I think 0.71% difference. But as we have 9A1 UBN in the in the group, I think they're gonna win without problem.
Just to ask, what is your average percentage loss anyway? Like, was it 5 to 7, perhaps 10?
Depending who is operating.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was scrolling at some point. I was on in-band position and scrolling on 40 meters. Luckily, I did not hear Dave snoring, so I think he did catch it.
Yeah, we at the end on 40 we have almost 700 US stations.
Oh, that's twice as we have, more than
But
double.
we have only 720, which is really bad because 20 never opened for us. During the day, it's nobody on because it's open on the upper bands, and at the night it was closed. So we did only 700 on 20, which is not enough. We have 1,034 on 15 and 394 on 10 meters. Most of them the skew path and Florida and Louisiana stations. It was the only part of the US coming with the direct path.
And what do you guys think of the monster effort by CN3A? I think 111 million points.
Location matters.
Location propagation, yeah.
Right place from this contest. So, but still missing like what they missed, like 10 million to record from CN2A from 215, if I'm not wrong. So, but it's not bad.
I think the record will happen with the next cycle, because most probably next year is not going to be as good as this year, and it's definitely gonna fade. So we'll have to wait for another, I think, 10 years or so.
And Mike, I think you did a single up 40 meter effort.
No,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. After we asked him several times. We need the prefix. We need the prefix.
Yeah, I did
so
single band 40.
he ended showing up. So it was nice.
Yeah, I was on. There were a couple of single band efforts. SM2 Mike did like 1800 QSOs on 20 without the voice keyer, and Sugar Echo 2 Papa did like 800 on 15. Not big efforts. They said propagations were really bad, so I was kind of happy that I was away on a work until late Friday evening, so we decided to not do it multi-single this time.
Well, you work as well sometimes.
Yeah, I do actually work.
So let me get this straight. In the future, if I need the prefix, I just send you a text and you'll get on and make the
No,
contact?
no, no. You just write a comment on Facebook. It doesn't matter where you write. If he reads it, it's good. He will show up. He will show up on the frequency.
Soliciting QSO, Filipe.
But
You're
put a
soliciting.
sad face smiley to it. So, no, it's too that.
Yeah, then I feel
By the way,
bad, and I have to
everyone
show
works Swain's Island contest.
Exactly.
Everyone works Swain's Island in contest.
Swain's Island, yeah, we did. All bands. I know, not on 160, I think.
They call me even.
Oh, but Dave, just to ask, you said how many US stations on 40 meters? Because I have the statistics on right now.
676.
Okay, so almost 700 US stations. It's 706 pointers. You know what? We had 70. Only 70 US stations on 40
But
meters.
how many do you have on 20?
We got on 20, we got 853.
Okay, so more than us, much more than us. Yeah, but you did kill on the European QSOs. You have, I think, we have pretty the same score, but you have how much? 1,500 QSOs more.
Oh yeah, we have, but those QSOs don't cost too many points, so
Yeah.
that's the difference.
An amazing score from RU1A and Italian guys there on multi-single. But also radiolimmetry alpha, so that was quite a big number of the QSO what they did. Like 6,400 QSOs is like,
It's huge in multi-single.
yeah, it's very huge. So
I guess their inbounds are working pretty well.
yeah, definitely.
Just to ask, Dave, which log program did you use?
DX log.
Okay, did you have any number issues?
Not really, because we didn't have in-band at all this time. We just used 6 station without just one station per band.
Okay, because we were having this strange thing going on with DX log this time. Either it's either the number server is not meant to work in a way we're working, because at some point people might have whoever looked at the live score saw that the actual QSO number, let's say on 10 meters, was much less as the number we sent out, because the number server on DX log managed to come up with numbers. At some point we gave let's say actually we had like, let's say 800 QSOs on 10 meters, but we gave out number, I don't know, 1,400, and it just randomly at some point gave the numbers, but since you didn't have any in-band, so I think the number server were just fine.
We usually, when we ran multi before with in-band, we disconnected or we turned off the number server, because every time you press space on the in-band, it makes one, and this number is not given anymore, except if you do the same on the same computer. If you make another QS on the other computer, it's gone.
No, I mean, sure, if it's like, if the difference is like few numbers here and there, it's not a big issue, but we at some point the number server jumped from let's say 800 to 1,400, just like that, without any reason. But we'll see. Maybe the guys developing TX log will figure the issue out.
That might be also you have some maybe RF in the network.
No, that's definitely not the case. No, it's because the number server, it's only one computer doing the number server work, and it's no, we can probably it's not RF related.
Do you need? But you should need the pairs, no? For each band.
That's what we were thinking, but according to the manual, it says that one computer should be the number server, and nevertheless, whatever band, let's say the in-band station is, it should take the numbers from the number server, and it should run separately 6-band numbers. So I don't know.
So I was never running multi in WPX, so I don't know. But anyway, somehow it was on our side, at least on my side, it was somehow disappointing. No high rates. Not much US.
It was the same on our side.
Yeah.
No, sorry. I think we
Brat-
lost you for a
Braco,
second.
you froze up. You're back again. So we.
I
think you said something very profound, but we're not sure what it was.
Yeah. Liking content. I froze up liking content.
But
anyway.
we agreed.
Yeah, we agree.
So, Braco, you said you were watching the scoreboard all weekend. What else did you? What else you were paying attention to there?
Yeah, well, I was looking. Actually, I was looking in that battle on multi between those guys. Of course, single up. Looking into multi-single, it was also checking on those classic guys who is going. So quite a bit interesting stories, and that's also what I mentioned on the write-up on 3830. So I'm a little bit, I would not say concerned, but the question is how far we're gonna go with AI. And everything what's going on, so it's a little bit maybe drifting in the wrong direction, but maybe I am wrong. I don't know, or too old.
But it's a good subject because I think I know the number of robot voices is growing. And it's
not about robot voices. It's if we're gonna speak completely now with AI and everyone and everything, so what's left? Typing, who is faster in computer, or whatsoever,
But you could say that you could say the same thing for CW when you have the computer transmitting.
Yes and no. It's CW is CW, and sideband is you need to talk and to hear. If you don't talk, you can hear. So it's only typing left, and for sideband you don't need to decode. So it's just.
No,
okay.
but I would say still that sideband is a lot harder to decode than CW.
It's harder to
40
speak.
meter SSB. Yeah, but no, I'm not really a big fan of it either. Especially when you start doing 2B SIQ and stuff like that. Then I'm a little bit, I don't know. I haven't really made up my mind yet.
But I don't think we had this time a single up station doing 2B SIQ using the AI voice.
Yeah, Charlie 4 Echo was using.
Was he on 2 bands simultaneously?
Yeah, the Tom is as well using AI.
Yeah, Tom also is using.
Peter 5 also.
85. Yeah.
So it's very well trained, I can say, but somehow it is funny, like when people are using real only computer voices, that's like fucked up. It's and we love Tina. No,
but there was something interesting I actually read on one of the 3830 comments was about changing the voice in the middle of the contest to get extra contacts, because when you start the contest and you are a man, then you get a certain percentage of guys that answer you. But when you switch to a woman, these extra guys that don't want to talk or just want to talk with you because you're a woman, they will call you. So I think it's kind of strategic also to use. Actually, I don't have, just like Mike. I don't have an opinion about it, but because I agree that it's almost like CW. The CW, you type on the computer, you could do it with two CW keys on one hand, on each hand. So I think it's more or less the same. But yeah, I still think it's very early, it's very green because I tested some of the AIs or the voices, and the problem is that when you ask to repeat, it still messes up a little bit the numbers and everything. So it's not 100% accurate, and I think it's going to get to a point that yes, it's going to be effective. But I honestly don't think we are still there. But if it ge-
We'll
if
see. I still thinking when you are on the right place, it's much better to do on, at least on sideband, to do it with one radio and let's say move the people in CQ worldwide, or let's say gain some multipliers in WPX, which is basically assisted contest. I work, I think, 560 stations with a second radio, mostly mul. So I didn't do BICQ. So probably it would be even more if let's say, I don't know, maybe if conditions were better, I would be lazy, like not collecting so much, but it's hard to say. But at least last year I didn't do either in WPX and as well in CQ Worldwide SSB. I was not BICQ, so I was just simply moving the stations in SSB, and on WPX I just collect what I could collect, and that's it. But we will see, how this gonna end.
Yeah, but I'm more than sure that in let's say 5 to 7 year period we're gonna, because since the sun cycle is now going down anyway, now it's perfect time to train your AIs and see what's the outcome for the next sun cycle, because the next records definitely, at least in SSB, I'm more than positive that they will be assisted by an AI, and they will be broken with an AI assistance.
By Braco.
Braco with the female voice, why not?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the 48-hour deadline for logs?
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, we don't need
Before.
I was going to say that we don't even need the 48. Actually, 24 or even a few hours would be great, because nowadays it's WPX is a full assisted contest. So this means you are connected to the internet anyway. So just after the contest, if you click submit, it would be exactly the same. So
But it's a move in the right direction.
yeah, absolutely.
I might need to try a single band 20, because now when it's an assisted record, I might need to improve my European record on 20.
Okay, it looks like Sven has arrived from Bangladesh. He just got off the plane. How you doing, Sven?
Good morning.
I'm doing good, yeah.
So tell us all about the huge expedition to Bangladesh.
Oh, it was probably much more demanding than we thought before. So we just arrived a few days ago from Bangladesh again at home. So I think we were 12 days there at our QDH, and already just the traveling from the capital Dhaka to our QDH was very long. So it took more than 24 hours to get from the capital to the QDH, with two types of boats, two types of buses. One of them was like more a tuk-tuk than a bus. And with all the equipment on there, it was just the traveling itself was very very long, and especially after so long spending like so much time on the plane. Yeah, but then finally we arrived at the QDH, set up all of the antennas. Unfortunately, some noise was on the QDH there, on mostly 40 meters. Low bands obviously, but then 40, 30, 20, which we couldn't where we couldn't use any low band receive antennas. And luckily the spider beam had some directionality there, so on 20 and 30, so we could turn the antenna, and that way the noise was the least. But it was not just the noise which made some problems, but also the local power there. So we had a generator, but also the grid which we intended to use. The grid, like the first 2 days where we arrived, like it was a bit more, like it made more problems than the guys were used to. And so I was actually thinking, like if if the power goes out every 30 minutes and you have to run down and turn on the generator, better leave the generator running the whole time. But it was also very difficult to turn on the generator. It was more like a tuk-tuk motor with a generator tied to it through through a cable which runs together. And so after 2 or 3 days everything went smoothly. Like we knew how to turn on the generator. The grid eventually got a bit more stable, and that was when like we could really focus on like more the operating side and not everything around that. So it really took probably more 3 to 4 days it took everything run smoothly. And so after that we also obviously had problems with the propagation there. Like unfortunately the sun was really doing some crazy stuff the first couple of days. It was very interesting to see how it changed during the days. The first couple of days the sun was really crazy, and even Europe had some very strange propagation, even though it's no polar path. And it was interesting to see during the days how the propagation to North America changed. I remember the first probably 4 or 5 or probably also 6 days it was very hard to work any North America, especially on human modes. And we were lucky when we worked, I don't know, probably 100 North Americas each day. It was also very tight propagation window, obviously, because it's on the other side of the world. So usually at our sunrise and at our sunset, that were the propagation windows on most bands. And I remember then the end of the expedition when the propagation went to normal again. I had huge pileups on 15 and 20 to North America, and that's when I thought, okay, that's how it should be all the time. Unfortunately, it was only for the last couple of days of the expedition. And also with the WPX contest, it was still within the disturbed propagation for us. luckily 10 meter was doing okay there, and yeah, I think half of the QSOs were on 10 meters for us. Like we did 2,000 QSOs roughly, and almost 1,000 on 10 meters. The rest shared between 15 and 20. We tried also 40, but the noise there was just too much. So we had the 40 meter vertical, and it was S9 plus 10 with the SSB filter. So yeah, very hard work there on 40 meters. And yeah, so it was also very hard sometimes in the contest. I remember the first day, like without the spot, I called sometimes 10-15 minutes, only very few QSOs, and every time someone called, I hoped he would spot me, and no spot. And as soon as the spot arrived, there was a huge pile up again. So it's interesting how dependent you're on a spot in SSB. And even like as a very rare DX, I thought everyone would spot after QSO, but no. And yeah, so that was the contest. We did roughly, I think, 4.5 million points. That's a new country record. We've looked before multi-single. There was one entry before that with, I don't know, 20 QSOs or something and 10,000 points. So we made a new country record for sure. And yeah, then I already said, the last days of the expedition, the propagation really improved or went back to a kind of normal, what we thought it would be the whole time. So that really helped also the QSO total, especially on the human modes. And so in the end we ended up with, I think, like 73,000 something QSOs. And yeah, I think to North America it's a bit less than 10% only, but that's mostly due to the very bad propagation. The first, almost like the first 3/4 of the expedition, and then when everything was over on the island there, we packed everything up again, but the expedition was not over for us. So we had to get back there again to Dhaka. So again, like another bit more than a day. And then we also had our local two guys, Apon and Anup, they organized a lecture at the university in Dhaka, so we could, so they invited a lot of important people. So we had a lecture there about about amateur radio in general and about the past the expedition, and that was also very interesting. First, driving through the whole city there with some equipment. We showed at the lecture there, and then I think there were probably like 400 people there, from fire brigade to scouts to students to everything was there, and it was nice to show them what we did, and actually it was in the end, like, there were so many people who wanted to do photos with us, so that's like I really probably felt like I don't know, like very famous, football player or
Rock
something.
star.
It was sometimes like it was crazy. Like it was 2 hours, I think, or like 1.5 hours. Like everyone, yeah, can I do a selfie here, photo here? I mean, you come back from the island. I mean, it was nice, but after I don't know more than an hour, you felt a bit tired doing the photos. um,
Well,
but
I know the Germans are polite, so they always agree.
And yeah, that was the last thing there in Bangladesh, and then so that was in the afternoon on Sunday, and then we hopped onto the plane again, and arrived in Germany. Yeah. So that's probably a short summary of the whole expedition.
Would you do it differently again, Sven? Seems like you had some things that you might.
Yeah, so
reconsider.
I mean the main problem was the noise, I guess, on the QDH. So we didn't know about it before. Our two guys they went there and checked for noise. I'm not sure like if they checked on the right bands or with the right antennas. So it also depends on like on the high bands it's not so much, and it depends like where your antenna points to. So we had some luck there because to the north everything was clear and there was no noise source from the north where what the main directions are. So with the spider beams you could just point somewhere to the north, and there was also the noise minimum. So that was good for the high bands, but for the low bands that was sometimes a bit frustrating in the night when the high bands closed, especially first days with the worst propagation. And like now the time was there for 40 and 30, and you thought, yeah, now's the time, and then you can't go there because of the high noise, or you just call CQ and there is a huge pileup in Europe. I remember like Braco and my dad, they told me, oh, there's a huge pileup and we could just call CQ. So that was probably the most frustrating thing about the expedition. And also, I mean, the whole traveling inside the country was very demanding. So I was not like I never did that before, like with so much equipment, like so long in the country, still traveling again. But I think in the end, it was still worth to go because we got so many messages from North Americans we still like managed to work, and it was an all-time new one for them, especially from the Whiskey 0, Whiskey 9, Whiskey 8 area, which is the hardest to work from there. So that was very nice, like during the expedition, like when you got few messages, thanks for the all-time new one, and so that was really keeping us motivated there. And yeah, there were some other minor problems, I think, which could have been prevented with some other how you say other preparation, but yeah, it was like it was, and probably we learned from that for the next expedition. So if you compare the expedition to the past two, like the expedition was by far like the most problems and the most demanding. So the past two were actually very easy. So nothing huge went wrong, and everything worked on those 2D expeditions. And on this one it was really Murphy was like very against us, and I mean that you like learn also some stuff there, and you know what can go wrong, and how to prevent it the next time, I think.
Where's
You
the
were
next
really loud on 15.
Yeah, when you worked me, you broke my S meter.
Did you try any receive antennas to overcome the noise?
Yes, so on the low bands we tried. So the first couple of days the A index was very high, and then we had like a kind of loop, like delta loop antenna for the low bands, which we used, and it worked very well on 80 meter. What was the second night, I think. I met a lot of CW QSOs there. Then later when the A index went down again, it wasn't as effective anymore, so we then tried a small bock, then a real beverage, and I think those three antennas we tried. And the real beverage then in the end was probably like 280 meters to the north. But the noise was still, so it worked. It depended like which day. So sometimes it worked better, and then sometimes not again. So yeah.
And the noise was like electronic stuff that
Yeah,
public lights or something.
Yeah, I forgot to say. We actually went also noise hunting. So Leon and I. So we first had a very small receiver with us, and on the, I think it was the second day, we drove around the island with like a small bike, and then had like the receiver with us, but it was impossible just like by ear to locate it, because it has no real S meter on there, and just like the speaker. So then we got one of our 7300s and one of the lead acid batteries which were there, and then one carried the radio, one the battery, and then we walked through through the small town there. And because it was very strange, so the noise was still there. So it was electronic noise, it was like man-made noise, and the noise was still there when the power was out. So it had to be something which has a generator or batteries. And so we found something in our building, which was a switching power supply for a... Huh?
You were so lucky for the short time.
Yeah. I texted with Braco the whole time, and I was like, yeah, finally we found it, yeah, and then noise is back again. And so it was one switching power supply for a network switch, which was not original, like the original broke, and then they bought a replacement one, and it was doing noise like crazy. And then also the inverter from the solar there. So we turned the inverter off and plugged the power supply out, and then noise is gone. Like gone, yeah. We thought so, and then next day another like 10 things activate. Yeah, it's like you find only the loudest. Yeah, it's the noise probably dropped by one S unit, but like from, I don't know, S7 to S6 or so, and then the next day we walked again through the whole town, and it's impossible to find, like with the Vietla small telescopic antenna which we attached to the 7300. And so next time I was like, yeah, next time I bring a small portable spectrum analyzer with the proper directional antennas, yeah. So
Basically fox hunting.
yeah. Noise hunting.
Next time you choose better QTH.
Yeah.
So Sven, I'm glad you were able to join us. We really should wrap up. We're nearly at the hour mark. Any final comments from anybody?
Yeah, what's the next contest?
Well, the next contest is going to be Estonian Open contest on 18th of April. So it's a nice short 4-hour contest, and hopefully
That's the next
18th.
week.
It's next Saturday. So hopefully at least we can work some of you guys. There probably won't be too many Estonians out there, but I promise to do. I promise to get out as much as possible.
We can only work Estonians.
Yes, the outside can only work Estonian, so it's. But luckily, it's only 4 hours.
Another contest which is very interesting for the rest of the world.
Yeah. No, we will come up with better rules next time.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for joining me. My name is Kevin, W1DED. This is Q5 Ham Radio 73.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.